Are you driving your life or is God driving your life? And what I mean by that is that whose plan are you on? Are you doing what you want to do, what you feel like doing, what you dream of doing, or are you doing based upon what you feel like God is driving you to? And so today's episode, we're going to talk about, is God driving your life or are you driving it? So welcome back to another episode of the You, Me, and Jesus podcast, where we talk about all things you, me, and Jesus. Now I got to tell you something. So prior to me filming this episode, I did what's called a creative consulting session. Now, let me tell you what that is. So a couple years ago, God asked me to start doing these things called creative consulting sessions, where it's basically like a prophetic consulting session. And I'm a business coach, and periodically people will find the link to get a creative consulting session and they'll book a session. And no one has booked that link in, I don't know how long, maybe a year, maybe a little more, since I've done a creative consulting. I think maybe 2 years. Let's just say a year and some change. And when someone booked it, I was really surprised. But I was like, oh, I felt a little bit convicted because I was like, oh, am I as close to God as I had been and all these types of things? And when I was on with them, I was like, no, everything's fine. I'm still just as close to God as I was before. Life is just a little bit different. And I'm on a journey since like healing my brain and all the type of stuff. Another conversation for another day. But I just want to tell you that in full confession. So we're having a conversation today about who is driving your life. Is it you or is it God? Okay, so let's start to unpack that and then I'll give you my little insight. Now, I always intend for these episodes to be like 30 minutes, but they're normally like 12 to 14. So I think I just need to just like accept the fact that these are not long episodes, that it's okay. But this is just me verbally processing with you watching and listening in real time. So every time I think about my life or our lives, we get sent from heaven to earth with an assignment on our lives, right? I never understood that until I got this mentor who was like, listen, yes, you were born from your mom and dad, but God knew you before you were formed. So he already had a purpose and plan for you from heaven, and you were sent here to fulfill that plan. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, that don't even make sense to me. But the more time I spent with that mentor, the more I started to realize, I think she's on to something, And so when I think about us being sent from heaven to earth, then we are sent here for a reason, right? So it's like if a company sends me, I'm a public speaker, if they send me from here to a place, there's a reason that I'm going to that place, right? Like I'm being sent there. And so that means when we come to earth, God has a plan for us, an assignment for us. And we get this amazing opportunity to discover what is that assignment. And if we never consult with God about what is that assignment, then we're not really on the road that he had sent us to earth to do. But when we invite him and go, hey, well, what is it that you have for me? What is it you want me to do? Where are we going? When we ask him that, and then we hear what he has to say, and then we say yes to that, and we start going down that road where he's driving our lives. And I think about many times in my life, like when I'm doing things that I want to do, I think I should be doing, I found myself doing good things, quote unquote, good things, but realizing that that is not actually what I didn't ask God. I didn't ask him that what he wants me to do, And I find that road can be very frustrating. Like, as of right now, as I'm telling you this, I'm thinking about the dating apps because I keep getting on, keep getting off. And I'm just telling you as a full, honest Christian, because I'm like, Jesus, it's been 10 years. What is going on? Can I be a part of this process of finding the one for me, right? And I just keep thinking about him telling me look, I got a plan for you. I've got a plan on who your person is, what this looks like, and all that. And you get this awesome privilege to go on this journey with me. And I'm like, I don't like the journey because the journey's been 10 years, but I'm just, and I'm just thinking about the dating apps and of him being like, you can drive that car and you can drive that and you can meet people and all the things, or you can let me drive. And I'm like, well, can't we just drive together? Can't we just drive together? And so that's kind of how we all get this opportunity when it comes to our lives. Who is driving our car, right? Who's driving our lives? And I was talking to a friend of mine recently about some things he wants to do for his life, for people in ministry. And he was like, here's what I'm going to do and God's going to bless it. And I said, well, is that what God wants you to do? And he was like, well, I believe that God is da 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 da. And I said, well, you may be exactly right. You may be exactly right. And I was like, but I think you have an amazing opportunity to ask God for his actual say, to not just say a thing and then and want him to bless it, but ask him, find out what he wants you to do, because then it's already blessed, right? Prime example. God asked me to come back to Houston. I was so glad. He asked me that. And I said, okay. So then I started having this desire to create this new account on TikTok to be more expressive of me. I don't feel like he told me to do that, but I really wanted to do that because it was like I needed a creative outlet that helped me to connect with people, yada, yada, yada. So created this account, started kind of doing my thing, having a good time over on TikTok on my second account. My main one's for my business. And over the time, these things start to happen with like my accounts growing and people wanting to connect, and then me choosing to host a meetup. Now, I didn't ask God if I should host a meetup. I was like, I'm just meeting people. I'm not trying to do anything major. I'm just trying to meet up with people and make friends. I don't feel like I need to ask God. It's about meet people. And then everything just kind of spiraled where it went from 50 people to 1,000, 1,200 people signing up for this meetup. But then he gave me a dream about what was happening. And I'm like, what's going on? And he gave me an awesome opportunity to ask him what was going on. What did he want me to know? What was going? And I could have easily just said, no big deal. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But I chose to pause and say, you gave me a dream. What is that about? What's happening there? And when he told me that here I am coming into Houston and just being myself. And initially people don't understand what's going on, what I'm doing. They're hesitant, but the more that that I just continue to be myself, people are going to be celebrating. And he said, this is about the meetup that you're doing. You don't understand what's happening, but something bigger is happening than what you know. And so I said, okay. So we started to plan 2 dates, a Friday and a Saturday. And then of course, hundreds of people showed up and all that. But once I finally came to, I was like, God, what is going on? He said, there's something bigger that is happening that you don't know is happening, but just keep going. And so instead of me quenching it and saying, okay, I'm done. I had my one and done. I said, well, what do you want me to do next? He said, I want you to do it again. And I said, okay, I'll do it again. And I posted about it on TikTok, and within 72 hours, 1,100 people expressed interest. Right? And I'm like, okay, what is happening? And now we've got hundreds of people in this private WhatsApp group just kind of connecting. And they're all saying the same things like, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for doing this. And I'm just like, I'm letting him guide my life, even though I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where this is taking me. I just know this is what I'm doing. And then when it comes to me with my business, I'm like, there's parts of it I understand and parts of it I don't. And I'm just like, help, lead, guide me. Tell me what to do. Tell me what you want me to do, how you want me to do it. And I am finding that when I am doing it that way, one, is more fulfilling. It's a little bit easier to navigate. And I have somebody to talk to about it, him, to get the wisdom and guidance on how to navigate the journey. And so it's like, okay, where I am right now in life is I am figuring life out currently. Let me give you an example. So there was a time when I was super on fire for God, in everything, at everything, all that. got encouraged to move to California, San Diego, and I felt like I became lukewarm. It wasn't on purpose. It was because the culture there was not on fire. And so I was finding myself trying to light everybody's fire, but also my fire is starting to go out a little bit. And I told that to someone that was going to their church, and I was like, I can feel it. I can, I was leaving their church and going to come in here. And they were like, yeah, I can see that. And they told me that's why they oftentimes will leave San Diego, go get lit again, and then come back. And so now being back in Houston, I'm like trying to navigate this new territory that I'm in, Texas, that from California, just navigating the spiritual atmosphere. I'm navigating my own self because I had a big surgery and my hormones got messed up. So my brain is still not 100% the way that it was. The way that I know that is because I watch myself, how I process in my journal. And I'm like, okay, whatever was happening with my brain, it's not all the way there yet. And it'll get back there, but it's not all the way there yet. And so I'm navigating that. I'm navigating my desires, what I want to do, what I don't want to do. I'm navigating my energy, like it's just now this week that I'm like, oh, I'm going to the gym. And I've been going to the gym and I've been excited about going to the gym. And I'm like, oh, I haven't had this excitement in like 2 years. Oh, this is amazing. This is great to have that feeling, and I'm navigating that. Right. And I'm giving myself permission to just kind of like let all the gears turn back on again, let my fire turn back on again. But in the midst of it all, I've been like, God, are we okay? Yeah. He's like, we're okay. Oh, I'm okay. Yeah, you're okay. And I'm like, are you sure? He goes, no, we're okay. And I feel like he's saying, you expect that you are in that same season that you were in, that this is who you are today. And he's like, you're lighting back up. Everything's going to be okay. You're lighting back up. Don't worry. And I feel good about that because I'm checking in, I'm not like, just like, I'm fine, but I'm checking in that I'm like, oh, it's something. He's like, oh, and we're just navigate like a Rubik's Cube together. And although I have my moments where I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to all the worship nights, or I don't want to go to this and I want to go that. I'm giving myself permission to be like, hey, you have never, ever been like that. And in this very moment, just continue to allow yourself to be reboot. Just allow yourself to reboot and reacclimate to being in a new spiritual environment, new city, new surroundings, new everything. And because I am allowing God to navigate, to like drive my life, I feel like even in times when I feel off, I feel like I'm on the wrong road, that he'll be like, hey, you're still here. We're still here. Even though you may feel like you're not there, you're here. And I have these like little like moments where I'm like, oh, I'm okay. And he's like, yeah, you're okay. I know it sounds weird to hear me say that, but when you have a major surgery and you go on anesthesia, everything gets turned off, right? And like everything gets turned off. And what I'm learning is that when everything gets turned back on, like it takes time for everything to turn back on. It just takes a lot of time. And I'm like learning that. So this is what you're kind of hearing me say. I'm like, all right, so everything's fine. So with you, I want you to be honest with yourself. You ain't got to tell me. You ain't got to tell nobody. Be honest with yourself. Where are you? Are you in the driver's seat, or is God in the driver's seat? Are you holding on to the wheel with him, or are you in the car at all? What's going on? And no matter what you determine, today you can choose to go, all right, God, you take the wheel. I mean, I know it's funny when they say Jesus take the wheel, the song by Carrie Underwood, but it's true. Like at any point in time, you can get in the passenger seat, he can get to the driver's seat. At any point in time, it's just us choosing to talk to him, repent if we need to, and just say, hey, all right, I'm getting out of the driver's seat into the passenger seat. Tell me what you want me to do. Tell me where we're going. Tell me how to be in this car with you, and it'll be great. Will it be easy? No, but it'll be great because you'll have the best person that could be driving your car to be driving your car, and you'll be in the car with them. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully like my babbling was not too weird or whatever. But hopefully this was helpful. If you found it helpful, please let me know. You can write a review or tell me here on YouTube. I would love to know.